But there is a process, and you've got to work your way out, like it or not. You got yourself into this situation step by step, moment by moment, and now you got to get yourself out of it. Hey, this is Tracy with Tracy Talks. Welcome. Intuition is this interesting thing that happens in our body. And there's times where we really want that hit in our bodies that we're doing the correct step. And we want to feel that certainty that this is the direction that we want to move into. But our intuition is this sneaky little thing. And there was a period of my life where I wanted clarity on my marriage and, am I taking the right steps in moving towards ending the marriage and becoming single again and being a single mother and being financially responsible? I mean, the financial burden was a concern. And so when I would ask, all of these concerns were impacting me and the place that I was. It means that I wasn't in this place where I felt safe, where I felt secure. I was stressed. I was scared. And in those moments when I'm asking my questions and then not being 100% certain that the answer that I was getting was a truthful answer, the one part that I didn't understand at that moment was when we are in a stressful situation and any kind of stress and our bodies are overstressed and overtired and exhausted, we are less likely to get a clear intuitive response than if we were in a state where we are safe and secure and relaxed. And when you put those two circumstances side by side, you see the individual who's highly stressed, who's overwhelmed, who's overworked and under resourced versus the person who is well rested, well fed, well resourced, and not very stressed, that those two individuals are going to get very different responses when they ask their intuition. And if you think about that, like this person that is highly stressed, your body wants you to get to a state where you can be less stressed. That is a different goal and objective for your intuition. Like your intuition isn't trying to move you into the perfect job. It's trying to move you into a place where you do feel safe and secure. And there's extra steps that the person who is under-resourced is going to need to make than the person who is resourced. Like the person who is resourced and well-rested, they have a different path. That their next step isn't getting to one of safety. Their next step can be one of moving into something that is more aligned with them. Whereas the person who is stressed, under-resourced, doesn't need to, but there are more steps there. Like that is not a natural transition for you to be in this overwhelmed state to then move into the perfect relationship, the perfect job, the perfect life. And your intuition is trying to move you to a place where you're safe and can expand and can grow and can sit in this moment of peace to really feel out what it is that is your true path. And I mean, nobody really wants to hear that. Nobody really wants to hear that they're one, not in a safe place, that I see people who don't really want to recognize that they're actually in a very stressful relationship or job or situation, that they have, or society has convinced us that we have to put on a smiling face, we have to be positive, we have to fake it till we make it. But the reality is sometimes we have to be honest with our situation and our circumstances to begin to work our way out of that. And I look back now, and in those moments when I was crying every day and trying to figure out what my next path was, that I was wanting to move into that perfect relationship. And that was the goal. And that was like, okay, so I'm in this marriage where I don't feel like I can be my true self, my fullest self, my expanded self. And there was this dream and this goal to get to this perfect marriage. And I really wanted to jump. I wanted to jump from this Tracy who was in chaos to this Tracy who was in a perfect state. And I didn't really want to take the dark path. I didn't want to walk through the caves. I didn't want to walk through all of the hard things. Like, who wants to do that? But the reality is, I had to do that. I had to walk this path of stripping back all of these layers, whatever they were. There was lots of layers. I had to get myself to this place where I felt safe, where I could let the walls down, where I could start to begin to open up my heart and open up myself and really look at who I was. And it wasn't until I got to this place of, yeah, I can let the walls down. I am in a safe place. But that took me years. And I'm not saying it has to take everybody years, but there is this journey, and it's oftentimes starts with healing. I had to get myself to a place where I wasn't crying every day. I wasn't worried about saying the wrong thing. I wasn't worried about, or I wasn't trying to monitor all of my words and my actions and how I showed up. And now that I can be in this space, when I do connect to my intuition, the answers are very different because my intuition isn't trying to just get me to a safe place anymore. Now that I'm in a safe place, then I can get to those other dreams and goals that I want. And again, not everybody's on this same journey that I am, but it's just one of those topics that is important to consider. Like, if you're in a relationship or in a job that's completely unrewarding and unfulfilling, then your intuition is trying to get you to a place where you feel safe. And then once you feel safe, then those truer, more aligned steps and actions can come in. And that clarity didn't come when I was still in the middle of chaos. It was never going to come because my intuition was just trying to get me to a place where I could relax, where I could breathe, where my monkey mind wasn't going, what am I going to do? How am I getting out of here? And it's interesting that, I had spent so long in this heightened state of distress. And after a while, it just became something that was normal, that it was normal for me to react the way I was reacting. It was just normal for me to hide parts of myself. And it became normal to just pretend that I didn't want something else and I didn't want something more. And that how easy it was for me to hide parts of myself for whatever reason. And there was multiple reasons, like it wasn't just one thing. And that's one of those things that sometimes when I look out into the world and I see people who just show up in the world and they're completely unapologetic and just there is no difference between the external version of them and the private version of them. That there is just one way that they show up in the world, and everybody gets that same version. There are situations and circumstances where we can't just turn off and change immediately. That even if a relationship needs to end or a job needs to end, most of us can't just walk away one day and start a new life. And when I was in this period of transition, there were places that I would go to that allowed me an hour to relax. I would go to the bookstore. I would go to a library. I would go to a place where I could, for just a moment, let the walls down, let the stresses go, let the fear go, and give my body and my mind and my spirit the space to just relax. Because I couldn't do that in my home at the time. Like, even if my spouse wasn't home, there were just, it was our home. It wasn't my home. There were still things that impacted my ability to completely relax. And so I found places. I found moments in my day, in my week, where I could start to give my body the space that it needed to give me messages when I wasn't overstressed. That was always a difficulty for me when I was trying to meditate. Like when I was meditating in the house and I had a difficult time turning my mind off. Again, my body was trying to get me just back to a neutral place. And I was expecting it to get me somewhere beyond that. I was expecting that whole spiritual awakening. And my body was like, it was basically telling me, no, girl, you can't get to that spiritual awakening unless you deal with all of this shit around you. And it was telling me, I know you want that, but there is a process and you've got to work your way out, like it or not. You got yourself into this situation, step by step, moment by moment, and now you got to get yourself out of it. Is there some place, some moment in your day where you can relax, allow your body to expand, allow the intuition to speak to you, so you can get that clarity that you want? Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram and Facebook at more Tracy Talks. And And until next time, we meet again.